Hello all, and a little different. Well, I guess not something too different since I just did an Arrow review. But yeah. For those of you, maybe you saw a video I did. I think it was last year. On these little guys. Well, one of these, which was Pacific Rim. I love monster movies. I love Godzilla movies. I have probably seen every. So this will be me talking about the new Godzilla movie, which I saw today. I have seen every Godzilla movie at least twice, except for one, and that is not the Matthew Roderick Godzilla movie. That's Godzilla versus Space Godzilla. Yes, I've seen Godzilla versus Biollante more than once. I've seen Godzilla versus the Smog Monster or whatever. I've seen that more than once. Um, I've seen, like I said, pretty much, especially the older Godzilla movies. When I was a kid in Kansas City, one of the stations, and I can't remember which station it was, would, I think 2 times a year, I know at least during summer when we were out of school, would air all the Godzilla movies, just because they did afternoon horror movies or science fiction movies, and they would just in a row would just show all the Godzilla movies. And so yeah, I saw all of those, and and I've seen not just Rodan and Mothra, and of course I've seen most of the Gamera movies. Haven't seen all the Gamera movies, but I've seen most of the Gamera movies. I've seen, monster movies are something I like. I like them a lot. Stuff like the Beast from what is it, 10,000 Fathoms or whatever it is. My dad specifically took me to go see Clash of the Titans because it was not, I can't even think of the guy's name. It was the last movie that he was going to do. All of that sort of stuff. I even watched the cheesy King Kong movie from the 70s. It was horrible. I saw King Kong Lives. All of that stuff. I just, no matter how bad it is, I'll watch it. For the most part. There's some of the stuff that's been on the Sci-Fi Channel that I won't watch because that's just all new levels of bad, and it's not even cheesy good bad. But so yes, I'm a Godzilla fan, and I went and saw this movie, and I will say this, that even if you were not a fan of monster movies, you're not a fan of Godzilla movies, you will probably like this movie. I would say, as a monster movie fan, I think from that perspective, and I'll explain what I'm going to say here in a minute, I think Pacific Rim was a better monster movie, but that this Godzilla film is a better movie, much the same way that The Natural is a great film that's about baseball, and is a great baseball film, but Bull Durham's probably the better baseball movie, kind of in that realm. I would say they're both very similar. It's just, you don't get a lot of monster action in this movie. Not that that's a bad thing. That they definitely went they went more along the way of what's the name of that movie now? Can't think of the name of the movie where you don't see the movie and it's all handheld stuff. And Cloverfield. It's much more Cloverfield-esque in a lot of ways, though it's not really that. But let's talk about the movie. There will be spoilers. I'll just talk about the movie here. Basically, the premise of the movie is that Godzilla was awakened, or I guess really found, in the after World War II, and that he, oh, my neck is killing me. He was found after World War II, and that so the different governments knew that he existed, and that there's this group that runs around following Godzilla. Originally, they tried to kill Godzilla, and they realized they couldn't kill him, so they just kind of followed him and tried to keep track of him. And then they move up to 1999, and you find out that this group that basically tries to follow Godzilla around goes to I believe it's the Philippines, and to this mine where they've unearthed a giant skeleton that is Godzilla-type skeleton, and they have these two things that were giving off radiation and look parasitic, and they find them. One of these things escapes, The other one is just there and they think is dormant, and it's really not, and they wind up, because it is radioactive, they give it to the Americans put it with, whether they put all their um, uh, radioactive sewage and material and all that stuff that they're not going to use, and that turns out to be a bad thing. But this thing goes to Japan, being a Godzilla movie, destroys a nuclear power plant. The government totally covers it up, and from there on, you get the Godzilla movie, because the thing that went to Japan basically sits there and gestates until now. Then it awakens, and it's this big giant monster that can fly. It's not Rodan. In the trailers, a lot of people thought it would be Rodan. It's more of an insect-looking thing, and it it awakens. It heads towards the West Coast, because of course this is more of an American movie, and goes towards first Hawaii, where it finds a Russian sub and starts eating the Russian sub, because this thing eats nuclear waste and nuclear material, and that's what it likes, and that's what it does, and that sort of thing. And throughout the movie, we find out that this is like a natural kind of thing that Godzilla hunts. So Godzilla starts hunting this thing, and this other one wakes up. You find out it's a female. You even see eggs and all sorts of stuff. And they go to San Francisco, and they start and they fight a little bit in Honolulu, but you see maybe 3 minutes, maybe even less than a minute of them fighting. Then they go to San Francisco and you see some fighting. And finally, at the end, you get the big giant 2-on-1 nasty battle, and this monster that is Godzilla is definitely Godzilla, to the point where there's a point in the movie that I was like, we haven't seen something, and then automatically we see it, and I'm like, okay, that was awesome. But this is definitely a Godzilla movie. The humans definitely play more of a role, I think, more just as a way of so you kind of have something else to follow in case you're not a big fan of giant monsters beating the crap out of each other. But who's not a fan of that? And so they do follow that. It starts off as a father and son story. Then it continues of a guy trying to get back to his family who just happens to be in the military and happens to be an ammunitions expert and happens to be the only guy who can save the world, that type of thing, and all of that. And it is a very good update to the original Godzilla film. Even though they pay homage to the original film in some ways, this is really a sequel to that, but they pay kind of homage to it. This is definitely a very good update to that, with the exception, of course, it has two monsters where that just has Godzilla. But yeah, it's really, really good. Better, went in like a lot of people very apprehensive, because it was, we have those Matthew Broderick, horror stories, and this was not that. This was really, really, really good thing. Which, by the way, the American Godzilla, the Matthew Broderick Godzilla movie, they actually made a cartoon, which the cartoon's actually not bad, because it is about giant monsters killing each other. So it's not so bad. But yeah, so yeah, this is it the best Godzilla movie ever? It depends on what you wanna say. It's probably on par with the original, which everyone considers the best. So, and I don't know if it's better than that. It's definitely better than like Final Wars. It's definitely better than Godzilla 2000. It's definitely better than Godzilla 1985. It's definitely better than, I'm trying to think of any other good ones. And the rest of them are kind of cheesy good. But this is actually a really, really, really good film. And hopefully we get more. Hopefully lots of people go see this and we get more, and maybe next time we can get Rodan, or we can get, I doubt we'll get Mechagodzilla, but maybe we can get Hydra, or we can get aliens invading, and all of that sort of stuff. But this classic Godzilla type of stuff. They even, in the movie, they even, King of the Monsters, and then like Savior, because he ends up saving the city kind of, and even the humans who he just wrecked their town wound up cheering him because he just saved them from these other two monsters. So it was really, really cool. And you believe that the people would cheer for him too, the way that they set up that. But yeah, if you haven't seen the movie, go see the movie. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I am a fan of this sort of thing, so this is something that this is right up my alley. Like I said, I think more people would enjoy this. If you saw Pacific Rim and you didn't really enjoy Pacific Rim, I think you would enjoy this more if you're not necessarily a giant, monster fan. If you're not a fan of that, if you're not a kaiju type fan, then you will probably enjoy this more. If you're a fan of those type movies, I think you'll like this a lot. But like I said, I still think Pacific Rim might be the better film, um, looking at it that way. So, but that's all I really got on that. So with that, I'm out. Have a good one. Later.